Welcome to another speed build. So today, this one is going to be a base game plus city living only. So those are the city living is the only pack I used in addition to base game for this build. And it's a, I guess for lack of a better term, a detached townhouse style. Now, like, the official definition of a townhouse is that it shares at least one wall with a sister building. And this one does not share a wall. It was originally built in San Myshuno, of course, because that's the world that came with City Living. And it was originally built on the Waterside Warbler lot, which was originally a karaoke bar. So we bulldozed that and got rid of it. But I wanted it in this area, specifically on this lot, because it matches the other buildings in this neighborhood. And I really like to do that with my builds. I like to try to blend it into the world and make it seem like it fits there, that it's supposed to be there. Now, I didn't want to do just an apartment renovation for City Living limited pack build. So I decided that I wanted to build just like a regular house. And my goodness, this turned into an absolute beast. It is one of the largest builds I think I've done as far as like a residential, because it ends up having, I think, like 6 bedrooms or something like that, 2 kitchens, 3 living rooms. It's absolutely huge. But I built it in probably to maybe be okay. Let's try that again. And I'm not editing that out. This is the real me. This is what you get. This is how my brain works. I built it as a multi-generational home. And I've got a bedroom with the exception of the object baby, I've got a bedroom for each one of the oh my gosh, why can I not think today? My goodness. You've got a room for an infant, a toddler, a child, a teenager, and a primary. And then in the bottom part, which is a fake basement foundation type area, there is a tiny apartment meant to be like a mother-in-law suite, or maybe the grandparents live down there. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So we're starting here with the main floor. We'll call it the main floor, because there is one underneath this, which is the fake basement foundation area. I didn't want to do an actual basement, and I didn't want to do any terrain manipulation to make it like a walkout basement, which I think I will do that eventually on another one of my builds. I would like to do a walkout basement type build. But for this one, I kind of just faked it by having the bottom level be short wall height and the next level up be medium wall height. So it kind of tricks the eye into thinking that it's kind of a foundation looking thing. So the first floor, the main floor here, is decorated very dark and moody. And this room in particular, I didn't put a TV in this room because you've got other rooms upstairs that will be like living room areas with TVs. So I guess you could call this one maybe like the library, because that's basically what's in here. Bookshelves, a couple other skill building objects, like I put the topi area over there and the chess table. But there's not a TV in this one, but there will be upstairs. So on your main level, you've got your foyer, which is pretty much a pointless room that you saw me do first, and then the library and the kitchen. It's kind of an eat-in kitchen, kind of a kitchen / dining room area. But the thing that I really enjoyed about doing this kitchen, and this whole main floor, period, like I used so many different swatches and colors that I don't typically use in decorating, but they're things that are like super popular right now with the dark moody colors and the color drenched rooms. And so I did have a lot of fun doing this, but this whole main level is like not my style at all, not my vibe, but I really enjoyed it. And especially this kitchen with using the brushed nickel and like the copper then the brick backsplash. I think it turned out really pretty. So now we're up to the second level, and this is going to be your first living room, family room type area that has the TV. This area has the TV and audio. It's what I would call a boombox, but radio, stereo, whatever you want to call it. And then over to the side, we're going to have, here we go, the desk with a computer. I thought about making like a dedicated office area. I thought about making the library also maybe have an office area, but I don't know. I just decided that maybe just a little family computer area out here in the landing would be good enough. And that's one thing that I wanted to focus on in this build. We're giving the landing areas around the staircases purpose, because far too often I make it just a landing with nothing going on, or that's where I'll tuck just a desk or a bookcase or one thing or whatever. And I wanted to make sure in this build it was a little bit more purposeful, put together. Also, I'm thinking about making a new playlist called Building Better Bathrooms, and I feel like this would be the first one in that playlist. As you just saw, that was the hall bathroom, which is pretty much just like an extra bathroom, the hall bathroom, the landing bathroom, whatever out there, just so for convenience for when you're out in the family room area. Because a lot of the bedrooms have en-suites. I think I ended up with 4 bedrooms with en-suites. And this one is meant to be the primary. And when I started with these eggplant or aubergine colored walls, I didn't know that I was going to lean this much into like the purples and the other. I had planned on it being a lot like the main floor, where it was just dark and moody, but it seemed like what happened was the main floor ended up dark and moody, and then as you go up floor by floor, it gets a little bit lighter and a little bit more fun. But I didn't really care for how I decorated that primary bedroom. Maybe somebody else will like it. Now this primary bathroom though, this is definitely part of Building Better Bathrooms. And as you saw, those 2 little cabinet areas beside the sinks are actually upper cabinets that I had to go down 1 floor and raise them up to get them onto the floor like that, because that's how you have to do it on console. This is your first life stages room. This would be the nursery for not an object baby, but an infant. And of course that changing table is not functional. It is just for pretty, because base game and city living, neither one have a changing table, so I made one. But I do at least have the garbage can beside it, so hopefully your Sims won't throw diapers on the floor like they have a habit of doing. And then the nursery has an ensuite, which why not? So I decided to make it fun and kind of kid themed for the ensuite to the nursery. Not particularly, I didn't really like it, but I'm not a big fan of pinks, which is funny because as you'll see when we get down to the mother-in-law suite, it ended up being all pink. So now we've jumped up to the final floor, the top floor. I originally decorated this with a teen room in mind, or like a young adult, but it could also be a guest room, however you want to use it. But I know it's blue, another blue room, but it's a dark blue and teals and greens, and I really wanted to use the matchy stuff from City Living for at least one room. But I do really like how this bathroom turned out. It's a different layout than what I usually use, bumping out that shower like that. And I think it just turned out so soft and pretty and feminine. And here I am using that hack again, where you take one of the shelves from Dream Home Decorator and use it to raise things to the proper height so they're not floating. And if you'll notice later in the screenshots, there are a few things that are floating on shelves, but I do, before I upload it to the gallery, I do go back and fix those. I go around and fix those with that Dream Home Decorator shelf. And then, of course, I do delete it so that you'll notice on the gallery that this only pack that it uses is City Living. And so that this is going to be in my limited packs playlist as well. I'm going to do a run of base game plus one pack. So that was the little living room area in the landing for the kids upstairs. So we had the gaming console and a TV. I do go back and add a little audio device, I guess radio or whatever you want to call it. So that's out there as well. And this is the toddler room. I had fun doing the toddler room. I couldn't think of a theme that I wanted for the toddler room, and then I decided on, well, what if we kind of tried to make it like a castle theme? And since it's such a small room, I don't have much else in there. And then the child's room, the last room on this top floor, is space themed. But I wanted it more not rockets and robots and fun space themed, but more like scientific educational space themed. And I love the little planet projector on the side there. Now we've gone all the way down to the bottom part, which is the basement foundation area. That staircase you see in the background comes down from the kitchen. There is access to the back patio, and I decided to put a pool here. To the right there, you have a bathroom, which I didn't show because it was just a typical bathroom in the same layout that like I always do. And then the bathroom beside that is actually the one that's attached to the primary in the little apartment area, which we're starting now in the kitchen. And this little apartment area beside the gym equipment there, it has access out to the pool area, which would also give it access out to the back patio. And then it has this little side door here to the left of the kitchen area, which is its own private entrance. So you could have the grandparents living down here. You could have a young adult living down here. You could, if you do want to play this and you have the for rent pack, you could set it as a tenant. You could always use it to have a roommate and lock the doors and have them down here as their area, however you want to use it. But I had in mind when I was building it that it would be for the grandparents or the grandmother of the family, so that it could be a multi-generational house. So that's kind of the style that I decorated it in. An older lady that really likes pinks and purples, you'll see as we get to the bedroom. But I also wanted to take the opportunity to use that wall covering, because I hadn't used a wallpaper yet from the City Living pack. And this bed, I hadn't used this bed yet, specifically from the City Living pack, because I wanted to try to utilize as much from that pack as possible. Because I know how it is when you get a new pack, you're excited to use all the new things. And some of the things in this pack were a little bit of a struggle to include, but I think maybe I found some unique ways to put them in there. And now we've come upon the terrain paint. There was a lot more terrain paint in this one than I originally expected, because I wanted it to have a very concrete jungle feel. You know, the whole thing, there's not much yard or garden, and it's surrounded by concrete. But then I also forgot that you have to do the concrete with the terrain paint, because you can't take you at least have to have that outer ring, because you can't take it all the way up to the edge of the property. So there's that. But I don't know, can you tell I don't really like doing terrain paint? It seems very tedious to me, but it is a necessary evil, the terrain paint is, because it does make it just look so nice and finished and realistic. And that's what we were going for with these little areas. I wanted to add just a little bit over here on the side to kind of finish out this private entrance. And we've got the screenshots coming up. You've made it through the whole video. Thank you so very much for joining me today. As always, this has been play tested, and it is on the EA gallery under my ID, pyxiedusted. That's Pixie with a Y. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.